Hi everybody, my name's Aubrey. I'm a member of Sunrise Eugene. Welcome to Social Resistancing. Get out the vote, our Earth Week live stream. Within this live stream, you're going to hear from several individuals that are a part of our movement, as well as the candidates that we are endorsing for this year's Democratic primary. And you will also hear music, and you will get information on how to be a part of our movement as we move towards a Green New Deal and a great climate future, safe for generations and generations and generations. First up today, we have a testimonial from one of our members, Katie, and she's going to tell you about the importance of voting from her perspective.
As we already know, the youth will inherit the future. But because of the climate crisis, we are facing a challenge that could affect all the generations living on Earth, as well as the generations to come. So what can we do to stop this? Aside from engaging in personal sustainable practices, we need to join the climate justice movement to push legislation that will protect our future. This means voting for climate champions and organizing with your climate justice activist groups. When I started organizing with Sunrise Eugene, I learned a lot about how local activism can help influence community projects. These are community projects that can help not only the climate, but the people as well. I started getting more politically involved by talking to activists in my community and by looking at the campaigns of local candidates. Starting a conversation helped me become more informed about the current state of our community and what we can do to help. It's also important to remember to encourage voter registration and voting in your local primaries. Every vote counts, and if we get enough people in the movement, we can secure our climate and eventually secure our future.
So that was Katie talking to us about how important it is to vote for both climate champions today and just people who are going to push a more free agenda for all of our citizens. Next, we have Nicholas, who's going to sing us Wake Up Call.
All the stores are closed today. No more coffee shops or bakeries, and this little town is filled with emptiness. As the waves of life and death roll through me like they do, they wash away everything that I thought I knew. I've cried a million tears for all the lives that we've lost here, and I know if we don't change our ways, many more will die. I've heard for the first time in years, the rivers are clean and the skies are clear, and wildflowers grow through the cracks in the concrete. Are we ready to change the way we live? If we needed a wake-up call, then this is it. And are we ready to change the way we live? If we needed a wake-up call, then this is it. Oh, this is it. Once it's time to wake up, be the reflection of compassion and love, be the peace that we wish to see in the world to come. A world that knows no greed or lack, where love reigns and where we give back to the earth, who is our mother. World of harmony, the transformation of society. Hold the vision and pray for the world we need. And are we ready to change the way we live. If we needed a wake-up call, then this is it. And are we ready to change the way we live? If we needed a wake-up call, then this is it. Oh, this is it. Our choices now decide our destiny, the fate of humanity. May we remember who we are with every choice we make. With sincere and reverent prayer, we are birthing this new world right here in our hearts, and with our hands in the work that we do. Are we ready to change the way we live? If we needed a wake-up call, then this is it. And are we ready to change the way we live? If we needed a wake-up call, then this is it.
Oh, it's beautiful, Nicholas. That's very it's very poignant in these times, I think, that asking if we're ready, because it does take a big step and a big heart in order to make the difference that we want and vote for people that that will help others, especially in times where we're cooped up inside and it feels like we're so isolated, but we're not, because everybody feels the same way. And everybody wants a better future. So in order to bring us into this better future, there are many, many candidates that Sunrise Eugene has endorsed in order to make a better climate future and just a general better future for Eugene and the state of Oregon overall. In this next segment, Sienna is going to talk to us about how we have chosen to endorse these candidates, why exactly their positions speak to us, and let you know who you should be voting for in the upcoming primaries.
All right, so as many of you may know, the Oregon primary is coming up. We still have a few days left to register to vote. The deadline for that is April 28th, so pretty soon. It's really important that you go online to the Oregon Secretary of State website, and there you have the opportunity to register to vote. Remember that in Oregon, the primaries are closed primaries, so you must register with the party of the candidate that you are hoping to vote for, or that you're really excited about this primary season, which means that if you register as a Democrat, you can only vote for Democrats. If you register as a Republican, you can only vote for Republicans, and if you're unaffiliated, you will not receive the ballot for either party. So again, make sure you head to the Oregon Secretary of State website so that you can register to vote, and by doing this, the state of Oregon will send you your mail-in ballot, which is really great because that means that our primary here in Oregon will not be compromised by COVID-19. Everyone will still have the opportunity to vote who registers. And then once you receive your ballot, don't forget to put it back in the mail, because May 19th is our primary election day. There are a bunch of really exciting races happening all over Oregon, and Sunrise Eugene has had the opportunity to work with candidates in a lot of different races. I'm going to talk a little bit about the endorsements that we've made this year. So to start out, the Sunrise National Political Engagement Guidelines and Strategy is what we have really used to guide our endorsement and the way endorsements, and then also the ways that we are working with candidates. So the Sunrise National Political Engagement Guidelines and Strategy says that we support candidates who, if elected, would represent a significant break with the status quo for their district. We support politicians who will represent us, not the fossil fuel industry, in primary elections. We only endorse candidates who take the no fossil fuel money pledge, to reject contributions from the oil, gas, and coal industry, and instead prioritize the health of our families, climate, and democracy over fossil fuel industry profits. Finally, we have no permanent friends and no permanent enemies. This means that our only permanent allegiance is to protecting our communities, our shared homes, and our future. We have to make it clear to politicians that our power and support are earned and they are not a given. So based on this national political guideline that the Sunrise movement has created, Sunrise Eugene formulated its own questionnaire that it sent out to all of the candidates throughout the state that were interested in seeking our endorsement. So that questionnaire begins, do you support a Green New Deal that encompasses the structure and goals of House Resolution 109? Do you support transitioning to 100% clean and renewable energy by 2030? Have you taken the fossil fuel money pledge? If you have, when did you sign it? If you haven't, when will you sign it? Signing and keeping to this pledge is a prerequisite for our endorsement, and as we learned from the Sunrise National Guidelines, it's a prerequisite to endorsement from Sunrise hubs all over the country. So next we have, do you oppose the construction of new fossil fuel infrastructure? Do you oppose the Jordan Cove pipeline? Do you support a federal jobs guarantee that ensures a family-sustaining wage, adequate family and medical leave, paid vacations, and retirement security to all people of the United States? Do you support a living minimum wage that is tied to inflation? And finally, do you support a Medicare for all single-payer healthcare system? So, for our endorsement process, what we did was send out this questionnaire to all of the candidates that were seeking endorsement. We then reviewed the answers that all of these people gave on the questionnaire, and then held meetings with the candidates that, from their answers on that questionnaire, showed that they have values and priorities that are in line with those of the Sunrise movement here in Eugene. And then, after that, we were able to schedule meetings with all of the candidates, and even those who weren't able to show up to the meetings, those Sunrise members that weren't able to show up to the meetings, could read the notes that were taken during those meetings, as well as suggestions from the members that were there. And then finally, we voted as a hub on whether or not to endorse in these races and endorsing these specific candidates. And then from there, we determined the people that we would be endorsing for this election cycle. So now I'm going to shift to talking a little bit about each the candidates that we have endorsed and the platform that they are running on. All of the information that I'm going to share is actually available through their websites. This is where I am using the information, so this is public stuff that anyone who is interested in reading more about can check out their website online. So first, we actually endorsed in quite a few races here in Eugene. We endorsed 3 candidates for city council positions. First, we have Tim Morris. He is running in Eugene's Ward 1. Tim Morris, the sort of 3 main points of his campaign are housing, environment, and social support. So Morris really wants to work with the city of Eugene and take action to face the housing crisis that we are in the midst of here in the city, to address climate change at the city level, making sure that Eugene is invested in renewable energy and energy efficient infrastructure, and then finally social support, so taking care of the community through things like access to mental health care, emergency preparedness plans, and just supporting all community members. So next we have in Ward 2, we have Matt Keating that we have endorsed in the Ward 2 race. Matt Keating has a lot of similar priorities to Tim Morris. So first, he would like to see us on Eugene adopt living wage jobs and have more accessible, affordable housing. So this kind of means repairing our infrastructure that we have as a city so that we can offer good paying jobs and also secure housing to the people that live here. He also would like to see the city fund the Bold Envision Eugene Climate Plan. So this means advocating for reducing our carbon footprint as a city, preserving our urban growth boundaries, and generally investing in projects like bike paths, parks, preserving our forests and waterways so that Eugenians today can enjoy the city, but also those to come. Then we have, still in the local Eugene races, we have endorsed Ryan Moore, who is running for Ward 8. Ryan Moore wants to see the city address the housing crisis, and he believes that the further criminalization and incarceration of unhoused people is only worsening our collective situation. He has worked in the criminal justice system and has seen how an over-reliance on fining and jailing creates a bigger issue, and that we must solve this through not criminalization, but rather working to provide better options throughout the city of Eugene. Mr. Ryan Moore would also like to see the Eugene City Council be more bold on climate action. He believes that we already have the tools available to us to mitigate the coming changes, and that we as a city are ready to use them. I could not agree more with that. And that the city of Eugene can be a leader in creating clean energy jobs and infrastructure. So again, not only making sure that we are minimizing our climate impact, but making sure that we are really taking care of all of the residents in Eugene and fighting climate change in a just way. All right, so that wraps up for all of the endorsements we've made on the Eugene City Council races. Next, we have the eWeb Commissioner. We have endorsed Matt McCray, who is running as eWeb Commissioner representing Wards 1 and Wards 8. Matt McCray is running because he wants Eugene to be more proactive on climate change and to work with eWeb in order to transition toward not only reliable clean energy, but electric vehicles and clean electricity in homes. Another important piece of his campaign is that he is running to address structural inequality. So this means that in our efforts to address climate change, that we are also lifting the burdens and reducing the inequalities that got us to this place in the first place. So that is Matt McCray. Next, we are moving to the Lane County Commissioner, and this cycle we have endorsed Joel Eboa. He is running as the District 3 County Commissioner. He has a platform that includes climate justice and green jobs. So again, this is by now a recurring theme in all of our endorsements. He believes that Lane County needs an emergency climate action plan that is grounded in justice and equity. And this plan should have concrete goals to reduce greenhouse gas emissions and transition away from an extraction-based economy. He believes that all people in Eugene and Lane County deserve a future that includes green jobs and healthy homes, not only for this generation, but for all of those to come. He also believes that we need affordable housing in every part of South Eugene and to increase renter protections and promote promote the development of more quality, affordable housing. Next, we'll move on to the Oregon-wide, the statewide elections. At this level, we, to start, have endorsed Jamie McLeod Skinner, who is running for Secretary of State. Jamie McLeod Skinner is an attorney and a natural resource consultant who has spent her lifetime working to build stronger and healthier families and communities. She says that as a rural Democrat, she knows how to bring people together across the urban-rural divide. She also believes that safeguarding our state lands, waterways, now and forever is a really important for us as Oregonians, and that we must secure clean air and clean water through the sustainable management of our state lands and waterways. So Jamie McLeod Skinner is a great climate choice for the Secretary of State position. Now we are moving on to our federal elections. We have endorsed two candidates that are running for Congress in Oregon. The first is Doyle Canning. She's running in Oregon's 4th District. Doyle Canning has been a climate champion for many years. She believes that our future is in jeopardy because our lawmakers have not stood up to fossil fuel companies. And that in Oregon we need to say no to the Jordan Cove pipeline and fossil fuels. She believes that instead we should be investing in solar, wind, tidal, and other sort of renewable forms of energy, as well as regenerative farming and forestry and more. She believes that the transition to 100% clean energy must be a just transition for workers and communities. So this, again, means fighting climate change in a way that actually makes life better for all people. Next, we have Mark Gamba. He is running in Oregon's 5th District. He believes that we are in the middle of a climate crisis and that because we only have 10 years to solve this crisis, that we need to transition rapidly away from fossil fuel infrastructure and other intensive forms of energy. That we must electrify all transportation as well as invest in mass transportation options. He has strongly supported the Green New Deal framework, believing that we can lift millions of people nationally, of course, out of poverty by transitioning to Green New Deal jobs, so investing in those jobs that are going to give us clean energy, a healthier future, and also a working income to people, to Oregonians, and people all across the country. Both of these candidates, I will add, support a universal health care or Medicare for all system in the United States, which I believe is incredibly important, and we are seeing now more than ever in the time of COVID that it is so important that all people, all Oregonians, but all Americans have access to the quality healthcare they need, and that healthcare not be tied to a job. So that wraps up all of our endorsements that we have made this cycle. As you can see, we've had a really exciting primary season, and there are a lot of exciting races that are going on all throughout Oregon. This is a very important cycle to make sure that you are voting in. So again, I want to remind everyone that if you have not registered to vote online, you can do so very easily by going to the Secretary of State's website. Just Google register to vote in Oregon and it will be right there. And then by doing that, you will be registered and sent a ballot by the state of Oregon, and then you will be able to vote for the May 19th primary. So although all of the candidates that we have endorsed this cycle around come from different backgrounds, they really share common beliefs in justice, unity, and uniting against this common threat that we have, which is climate change. But that in doing so, we must also ensure that we are building stronger communities and that we are providing for all of the people that are in those communities. We all deserve to live on a healthy planet. We all deserve access to good jobs as well as healthcare, and which is why it is so important to vote, so that we can elect representatives that are really not only embodying these values, but that are going to fight for them. Thank you.
Thank you, Sienna, for that wealth of information on wonderful climate champions that are on the ballot this Democratic primary that all of our viewers can vote for on May 19th. Now, next, we have something very special. We have a song about voting from a musician that only comes once in a lifetime. Truly the voice of a generation, the most serious musician that I have ever met in my entire lifetime. Please enjoy this video of the great Hannah Banana.
Oh hey kids! You must be here to learn how to register to vote. Well, you came to the right spot. I'm Hannah Banana and I'm here to say that voting is important. You should register today so you can use your voice and share your point of view. Voting is the best and it's the best for you. You can vote for climate action. You can vote for immigrant rights. Any way you want to do it, mail it in. There is no way to beat it. But the folks who don't contribute to this very crucial political endeavor will have to live with their elected officials for forever, or at least till the end of their term.
Oh. Beautiful. Now, we have already talked to you about the candidates that we're going to endorse. We have emphasized how important it is to vote for them, but it's even more powerful when you hear these words from the candidates themselves. So the next few videos that we're going to show you are from some of these candidates that we are endorsing. The first one is Tim Morris. So Tim Morris is going to explain why he is running for the city council in Eugene.
Hi, my name is Tim Morris and I am a candidate running for Eugene City Council in Ward 1. I'm making this video to talk about why I'm running for office and what I plan to change when elected to Eugene City Council. So we started this campaign back in March of 2019, and ever since then we have been hammering home 3 top issues. The first one is housing. We've been pushing for affordable, accessible, and available housing. As someone who's living through the housing crisis myself, I understand the need to have rents low and to keep property values stable. Here in the city of Eugene, we have very archaic zoning and land use laws. And as a housing advocate myself, I think that it's time to lift some of these laws that were created decades ago that simply don't make sense with the way that Eugene is set up now. I believe that shelter is a human right, and whether you are looking to get out of the rain and out of the elements for just a single night, or you're a first-time home buyer looking for your first home, or you're looking to rent here in the city of Eugene, you deserve a shelter and a roof over your head. The second issue that we've been pushing for is more action for climate change. The decisions that we make on climate change today will affect our future, will affect the future and the future generations 10, 20, 50 years down the road. As a millennial, I'm deathly afraid of some of the decisions, some of the conversations that are happening now. And I really want to fight for my own future. And that's why I'm running for office, to do that, to bring my voice to the table. I would, if elected to Eugene City Council, I would propose some policies that would reduce overconsumption and prevent food waste and prevent other things like that, and also support alternative transportation with bikes and with buses, and reducing the amount of need for single occupancy vehicles here in the city of Eugene. The third issue that we've been pushing on is homelessness. If you walk downtown Eugene, you understand the issue of homelessness and just how many people are in need of support. Through construction standards, I would promote the building of low-income housing units with project labor agreements, which guarantee that people in the building trades are able to build these without losing a profit. And I believe that's one of the major barriers to building low-income housing. I also plan to support the TAC report, which is a 10-point plan to reduce the amount of homelessness. But I believe that that's a long-term plan, and we need short-term solutions today. So I would promote different shelters in different areas in the city of Eugene, and also encourage wraparound services for our nonprofits, because oftentimes if you are unhoused, you're facing more than just a lack of shelter. You could be facing dental problems, substance abuse problems, mental health problems, and other things. It's been stated that there are 55 different types of unhoused people, and we need to have wraparound services to be able to engage with all of those groups of people. But I do believe that one of the main issues that unhoused people face, that across the board, all 55 are facing, are housing. And so reducing our archaic zoning laws and reducing having low-income housing in this city of Eugene is crucial. So a little bit about me. I bring some great experience to the city of Eugene. I am a founding member of Our Revolution Lane County, as well as the Springfield Eugene Tenant Association. Both of these nonprofits serve as a service-based group that reaches out to vulnerable members of the community and provides information or advocacy for them to be able to create a more equitable place to live. I also bring experience from the LCC Budget Committee, which I advocated for financial rights of students and to try to reduce tuition as much as we could. And also for the for the Lane County Budget Committee, where I advocated not only for transparency in government, but protecting our national monument, the Cascade-Siskiyou National Monument, and prevent big timber from coming in and doing clear cutting there. And so I believe that experience is really crucial to bring to City Council. And finally, I truly believe that in an elected official, representation really matters. In the city of Eugene, our city council, the average age of our city councilors is about 63 years old. The average age of the people in Eugene are 33 years old. We have not had a progressive LGBT city councilor in 30 years. And if I'm elected, I would be the only progressive renter on the Eugene City Council. And I believe that these representations and these perspectives truly matter, because we're talking about the majority of people living in Eugene. 51% of the city of Eugene are renters, and yet 12.5% of our city council are renters. And so if elected to city council, I would bring a lot of experience and a lot of different issues to the table. But I believe truly that what I bring is bold and direct leadership. So May 19th is coming up super quick. Every time I blink, it tends to get a little bit closer. And so if you believe that it's truly time to have a city councilor with a proven track record and bold leadership skills, then I hope you support my campaign. Please look me up on our website, which is friendsoftimmorris.com, or you can give me a call or a text at 541-357-7331. Thank you so much, and I hope you have a great day. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much, Tim. Once again, that was Tim Morris, who is running for City Council, Ward 1 in Eugene. Next, we're going to hear from Matt Keating, who is also... Well, actually, I don't remember what. Next, we're going to hear from Matt Keating.
Hey, hello to the Sunrise Movement, Sunrise members of Portland, and Sunrise Eugene. Thank you for your support of our campaign for Eugene City Council. This is Matt Keating. I'm committed to responsible climate solutions for the health of our environment and for the health of our economy. Clean energy jobs, reducing our CO2 levels, reducing our dependence on fossil fuels are paramount. Now it's one thing to have a climate action plan. It's another thing to actually have one that has teeth. I propose a climate action Implementation and Results Committee, CARE, and I also propose that we weave into the performance review of, hey Josh. Good, I'm just making a video for Sunrise Eugene, an organization that endorsed our campaign. Yeah, yeah. It's my neighbor Josh. We have, hey.
How's it going?
Good. We're far more than 6 feet apart, social distancing from the backyard. It is a total, what was that show? It was Home Improvement. It is a Tim Allen Wilson relationship. So I was saying about climate action, having measurable goals or metrics woven into the performance review of staff will also help us attain our goals. So it's one thing to have great goals, and I applaud everyone who's put together our climate action plan, but now it's another thing to actually have some teeth to the plan. Would you agree with that, Josh?
Absolutely.
Right on, brother. Thank you. I'll let Josh get back to what he's doing in the backyard, and I got to get back to reaching out to voters on the phones. This is Matt Keating. Thank you, Sunrise Eugene, for all you do. Thank you to Sunrise Portland, and thank you to the Sunrise Movement for your support of our campaign. MattKeating.org.
So that was Matt Keating and his neighbor, Josh. Next, we're going to hear from Jamie McLeod Skinner, who is running for Secretary of State in Oregon.
Hi, I'm Jamie McLeod Skinner, and I'm running to be Oregon's next Secretary of State. I am thrilled to be endorsed by the Sunrise Movements in Eugene and Portland. I'm impressed and proud of your leadership in fighting to protect our planet, and I'm honored to join you in this fight. I want to talk to you today about the power of your vote. Your vote is your voice. It's how we choose representatives who are true leaders. Leadership is about action. It's about results, not just talking about good ideas, but actually making them happen. Let me tell you why this is so important to me. I came out at the age of 19 in a time when no mainstream politicians want anything to do with my community. I know how important it is to fight for the things we believe in. And I know how hard it is to change people's hearts and minds on things we really care about. But voting is critical to making that happen. Who we elect is critical to addressing climate crisis. This is where you come in. This is how you shape the future, by electing the leaders who will create and implement sound and meaningful environmental policies. I'm a natural resource attorney with degrees in civil engineering, regional planning, and the law, with a focus on natural resource, water, and Indian law. I've worked as an environmental planner and served on numerous boards and commissions addressing water and environmental issues. We need leaders who will prioritize the climate crisis that we're now experiencing and will implement good environmental policy. During my 2 terms on the Santa Clara City Council, I championed the city's aggressive commitment to transitioning to renewable energy resources. I served on the board of Sustainable Silicon Valley, where we worked with entrepreneurs to develop and create solutions to address climate change. I support transitioning to 100% clean and renewable energy by 2030, and I've publicly opposed the Jordan Cove LNG pipeline for years. I have a proud history of refusing to accept corporate donations from fossil fuel companies in my campaigns. When you see someone's flashy ad, ask yourself, who paid for that? Taking such a strong stand for our environment may have cost me in the past, but I've done it because it's important for our future, and you are our future. The leaders of the young climate activists, you are our future. I'm working to empower you, to empower your voice, because young climate activists are stepping up to lead the way. And you empower this work with your vote. This time of climate crisis we're in, we've seen crisis before. 80 years ago, our world was facing a very different type of crisis. World War II was raging, and the world faced a global threat. At that time, young people stepped up to the challenge. Today, we call them the greatest generation, because when they were called upon to face a seemingly impossible fight against global destruction, they stepped up. But the threat we face against climate change is an even greater threat, because it puts every person in every country at risk. Young climate activists, you are the greatest generation of today. Like that generation of before, you are being asked to step up and lead where others have fallen short. We need your leadership, and I want to help make this happen. I want the job of empowering your voices through your right to vote, ensuring government is accountable to our communities and our planet, and safeguarding our natural resources for now and into the future. That's the job of Oregon's Secretary of State. This is your call to service today, to fight for your future. Voting is how you choose your leaders and how we hold the government accountable. Please register to vote today. The deadline is April 28th, or even just check your registration online. Ballots will need to be returned and received by May 19th. Oregon has closed primaries, so you must be registered for a Democrat if you want to vote for Democrats like me. And the Independent Party of Oregon also allowing non-affiliated voters through a separate voting process, so check out their website if you're interested in that. Registering or updating your information is really easy and can be done online. You can check out our website, jamiefororegon.com, for more information and for registration links. I continue to be inspired by the commitment and passion of young activists. Let's work together to raise our voices, to protect our planet, and to ensure environmental justice. Thank you for your leadership.
Thank you for your leadership, Jamie. That was inspiring, and it brings passion into my heart, and I'm excited to vote for you as soon as I can. We've talked a lot about the candidates, and you've heard from many candidates that we are endorsing, but we haven't had the opportunity to talk about ourselves, Sunrise Eugene, and our story. So that's what's going to happen next. But before we do that, there's going to be about 15 to 30 seconds of complete darkness and silence on the live stream because I have to load the video in. I just got it while the live stream was going on. So next up, we have a video about the history of Sunrise Eugene made by our member, Nick. And that'll happen in about 15 to 30 seconds. Thank you very much for your patience.
We are Sunrise Eugene. We are the voice of the youth in Lane County who have watched those in power squander the precious few years we have left to effectively combat the climate crisis. For the past year and a half, we have been organizing behind the scenes, taking to the streets, and growing our influence. We are a hub of the National Sunrise Movement, which was started in 2017 to get climate champions in office during the 2018 midterm elections. Now we are fighting for Green New Deals at every level and getting climate warriors into office in November 2020. We are fighting for a just transition away from fossil fuels while creating millions of good jobs in the process. This is our story so far. In November 2018, a group of young people gathered in the name of the Sunrise Movement outside of U.S. House Representative Peter DeFazio's office. We had waited several long months for him to say that he supported the House Green New Deal resolution. While many in our district thought they had a climate champion representing them in Congress, Representative DeFazio went back and forth about whether the Green New Deal was too ambitious. It was ambitious, because he and others in power had waited so long to take action. We needed, and still need, to transform our economy to 100% clean, renewable energy by 2030. We needed, and need now more than ever, a guarantee that anyone who needs a good job can get one as we build a sustainable America. So we protested outside of his office in Eugene and spread the word. Our efforts were successful. Soon afterward, the congressman became a co-sponsor of the Green New Deal. In February 2019, youth climate activists from student organizations at the University of Oregon, South Eugene High School, and Churchill High School officially created the Eugene Hub of the Sunrise Movement. In March 2019, we organized the first major school strike for climate in Eugene. We had a huge rally outside of the federal courthouse, with inspiring energy and speakers. We went on strike again in May 2019, with rallies at several schools. We also hosted a Green New Deal town hall with guest speakers including climate litigation expert and TEDx speaker Doyle Canning, who is now running for Congress in our district. In July 2019, we hosted a watch party for the July presidential primary debates with the theme Change the Debate and participated in the national campaign for a dedicated climate-focused debate. Then came September, and the largest worldwide climate strike in history. Sunrise Eugene was key in organizing the events in Eugene, alongside climate allies 350 Eugene, South Eugene High School Earth Guardians, Beyond Toxics, and many others. Thousands showed up in downtown Eugene, a huge turnout, even by Eugene standards. We coordinated a panel discussion with youth and local environmental justice experts and activists on climate action in Eugene, where we took over City Hall and invited officials to come and listen to our discussion and demands. One official showed up. In the wake of this huge success, we set out to grow our ranks and take our fight straight to our local elected officials. We began showing up at Eugene City Council and Lane County Commissioners meetings, demanding ambitious plans and immediate actions. Meanwhile, we connected with the National Sunrise Movement strategy to win a Green New Deal. We would keep striking and fighting for the climate in our own area. We would show up en masse on Earth Day, organize for climate candidates to win in November 2020, and stop business as usual in early 2021. Our message would be clear: fighting climate change must be the top priority, and we're not waiting anymore. In December 2019, we held a rally in front of the U.S. Courthouse in Eugene. Over 250 young people walked out of school, marched in the street, and chanted, "Stand up, fight back." We heard from Indigenous and youth speakers about how climate change disproportionately affects those who are most vulnerable in our community. We marched to the seat of our local government and made an art piece to show what a Green New Deal looks like. In the past few months, we began to feel the power of our presence and our actions. Politicians came to us seeking our endorsement. Today you will hear about and from those who we chose to endorse. Together with our ally organizations, we convinced the city to listen to our demands for a more effective climate action plan. We now have a seat at the table in that process. We set out to make a huge impact on Earth Day, but scrapped the plan when the coronavirus hit. We could no longer be together. How could we organize? When the initial shock wore off, we saw that people in our community were suffering. Members of Sunrise Eugene were key in creating the Lane County Mutual Aid Network. The LCMA is getting supplies and assistance to those in need, showing how our economic system, lack of health care, and mistreatment of workers led to this suffering, and building collective power to fight against these unjust forces. Despite all of the terrible news from COVID-19, we are finding hope as we see people change their habits and come together to fight a common enemy. The time is ripe to win the best solution to the climate crisis and rebuild the economy following COVID-19 at the same time, a Green New Deal. The Earth may be breathing a little easier for the moment, but we know that climate change is only going to get worse. We may not be marching in the streets this week, but we know that is not enough anyway. We show up, and we keep coming back until we win. We knock on doors and make phone calls. We write, we make art, we sing. We protect this beautiful place we call home and those we love. We are Sunrise Eugene, and we need you. Stay tuned to hear about all of the ways you can get involved and bring this movement to the next level.
Which side are you on now? Which side are you on? Which side are you on now? Which side are you on?
Yay! So that was a little bit about us, Sunrise Eugene. You've already heard from many of our candidates, and in that video, you probably heard 3 words repeated over and over and over and over again. Green New Deal, the platform that we are trying to push so hard in order to create a future for every human being on this planet. The next thing that we have on our list is our final original song for this live stream. It's called Rise Up for the Green New Deal, and it's about the Green New Deal with some information and the importance of pushing it today. So, rise up for the Green New Deal. made of rock, but you can't treat her like dirt. The actions we've chosen are nowhere close to inert. All our trash in the water, carbon trapped in the atmosphere. We're at the planet's funeral and swinging from chandeliers. Earth Day, celebrate, feed Mother Earth our poison cake. Say we love, but then we flake. Words say love, but we forsake. Leaders say the stitch is great, but if it's slithering a snake, the temperature is rising. Mothers say we cook like easy bake. Let's take the shot, nothing but net zero carbon emissions. It's do or die, we just can't wait for collective contrition. We're one decade away from starving, all our crops are burning, but all we gotta do is get these windmills up and turning. Transport gas to electric, power solar and wind. Create jobs in the process that are both steady and still. Boost economy and quality of life with some camaraderie. No comedy, just honesty already broke the policy. Rise up for the Green New Deal. It can solve the problem and it has bipartisan appeal. It saves the planet and it makes jobs. We can get it fast if we rise up and push it strong. We rise up for the Green New Deal. It can solve the problem and it has bipartisan appeal. It saves the planet and it makes jobs. We can get it fast if we rise up and push it strong. Alright, so for those of y'all who don't know, the Green New Deal is based on the New Deal, which was a series of laws proposed and enacted by our 32nd president, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, also known as FDR. The New Deal is what pulled us out of the Great Depression and also gave us things like Social Security, national parks, hydroelectric power, unions, and it ended prohibition. In short, it is the greatest set of quality of life bills ever put into law by the United States of America. It simultaneously boosted the economy while making our country a healthier place overall. Now, there's this thing called the Green New Deal, which has the same goals and many of the same models, but this time with a tighter focus on the use of renewable energies. It's one of those few proposals in our government that actually benefits everybody. And I know the way that it's been presented makes it seem like it's only an environmental bill, but it's not. It's largely a significant proposal to increase infrastructure and the social safety nets that we all desire. The kind of social safety nets that award every citizen with life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. You know, the unalienable rights our country was founded on. So let's support the Green New Deal, and let's take care of everybody. Capitalist corporate competition brings us one step closer to a cataclysm. Traditions twisted, distant, making us victims. The Green New Deal makes it too, where we're on a mission for fair wages, family leave, retirement, security, education, safe housing, and a job that's guaranteed. There's no neutrality, immorality, it's not a technicality. These fallacies are maladies, have time for some shared amnesty. Enamored with power from coal, gas, and oil, made our home an oven and set it to broil. They shame us for speaking, say we're wearing tinfoil. AOC and Markey save us from this turmoil with a forward plan, solid system, humanity's collective wisdom. Fight the sickness, treat the symptoms, heal each other in the ecosystem. With the Green New Deal, with the Green New Deal, with the Green New, with the Green New, with the Green New Deal. That's right. So rise up for the Green New Deal. It can solve the problem and it has bipartisan appeal. It saves the planet and it makes jobs. We can get it fast if we rise up and push it strong. So, what exactly are the specific goals of the Green New Deal? Well, as much as I would love to read you the entire 14-page proposal written by Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and Ed Markey, we don't have time for that. So, essentially, it's a proposal that we, the United States of America, will meet the following goals by the year 2030. Guaranteeing a job with a family-sustaining wage, adequate family and medical leave, paid vacations, and retirement security to all people of the United States. Providing all people of the United States with high-quality health care, affordable, safe, and adequate housing, economic security, and access to clean water, clean air, healthy and affordable food, and nature. Providing resources, training, and high-quality education, including higher education, to all people of the United States. Upgrading all existing buildings in the United States and building new buildings to achieve maximal energy efficiency, water efficiency, safety, affordability, comfort, and durability. Overhauling transportation systems in the United States to eliminate pollution and greenhouse gas emissions through investment in zero-emission vehicle infrastructure and manufacturing, clean, affordable, and accessible public transportation, and high-speed rail. And last but not least, working collaboratively with farmers and ranchers in the United States to eliminate pollution and greenhouse gas emissions from the agricultural sector as much as is technologically feasible. And here's the deal, y'all. All of it is technologically feasible. We live in the 21st century. We have supercomputers in our pockets. We've had the technology to make the Green New Deal a reality for decades, but we just haven't done it yet. But we can change that together. But together means that we all have to pitch in. It means that you have to pitch in and that I have to pitch in. We have to become vocal about our needs and the needs of every American, even the ones who haven't been born yet. We need to contact our congressional representatives. We need to contact our senators. We need to tell our friends and family about the benefits of the Green New Deal. We need to strike on Earth Day. We need to do any type of environmental activism. We need you to contribute to the Earth Day project, which I'll explain at the end of this video. The point is, it doesn't matter what you do as long as there's some real substance behind it. You can't just watch this video and think, I don't have to do anything else. I've already used my reusable bags at the grocery store. But that's not enough. We need you. The Earth needs you. So let's rise up for this planet. Let's rise up for each other. Let's rise up for future generations. And let's rise up for the Green New Deal. We rise up for the Green New Deal. It can solve the problem and it has bipartisan appeal. It saves the planet and it makes jobs. We can get it fast if we rise up and push it strong. We rise up for the Green New Deal. It can solve the problem and it has bipartisan appeal. It saves the planet and it makes jobs. We can get it fast if we rise up and push it strong. So that was Rise Up for the Green New Deal. I know in the middle it said there that I'll explain a project at the end of the video, but that was in February, so I'm not going to do that whatsoever. But the important thing to take away from that is that the Green New Deal is the climate action legislation that would save us. That would save everybody and make sure that there's a better future for generations upon generations upon generations. And it's important that we endorse and vote for candidates that are going to support putting a Green New Deal in place on a quickened timeline of 2030. Because after that, it's too late. So speaking of candidates that support a Green New Deal, the next thing that we're going to hear is Doyle Canning's TED Talk. Doyle Canning is running for Congress in Oregon's 4th District against Peter DeFazio. You've heard her name mentioned several times. So when we reached out to her to ask if she would say something to us, she just said, oh, play my TED Talk. It's all in there. And it is. So please enjoy the incredible TED Talk that Doyle Canning made last year at TEDxU Oregon.
I'm going to begin today with a short quote from a news story that ran on my birthday. It said, the large-scale burning of oil, coal, and other fossil fuels could melt polar ice and raise ocean levels by over 20 feet in several decades. Even a 15-foot rise would flood coastal areas of the United States occupied by 11 million people. I'm going to go out on a limb here and assume you think that I am quoting from a story published in 2018 on my birthday last year, when the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change released its so-called Doomsday Report. But this Doomsday Report came out the day that this photo was taken, on my first birthday in 1981. You see, this crisis isn't new. It's just that now it is an emergency, and we're running out of time. People are drowning and dying in the storms in Puerto Rico, in Houston, in New York, in North Carolina. Entire towns and villages are sliding into the sea in Alaska and in the bayous of Louisiana. Americans are being burned alive in their own backyards from the wildfires, as in Paradise last year. This is all happening Because, as one climate scientist put it, in 2016, warming went nonlinear. That means not only is the heating getting more intense, but the consequences are becoming more unpredictable and catastrophic as we careen towards irreversible climate tipping points that threaten the survival of all of humanity. The complete collapse of polar ice, the complete collapse of insect life. Bread baskets turn to deserts, oceans turn to acid. If what I'm telling you right now is making you feel afraid, that is a reasonable response. If you are feeling grief and sorrow, that is a human response. And if you are feeling panic, those are your survival instincts. They are intact, they are kicking in. And you're going to need to channel them into action in the next 10 years. Because our generation didn't create this crisis, but we are the ones who must solve it. And I'm here to tell you that we still can, and I'm here to tell you how to do it. And I'm here to tell you we have a precious decade to get this done. So first, I want you to know that this is my daughter on her first birthday. We're on track for emissions to hit 1.5 degrees centigrade, the uppermost safe limit described by scientists, before she turns 10 years old. I want you to consider our atmosphere as a toxic waste dump for about 90 companies, just 90. It's fewer than the number of people in this room right now. They are called the carbon majors, and they have contributed most of the pollution that has already heated the planet by 1.1 degree. We need to stop the warming at 1.5. That means the dump is almost full. But there is nothing, and there is no one stopping the dumping. The United States is now the world's largest producer of oil and gas, set to grow extraction 15-fold by 2030, precisely the time period we have to go in diametrically the opposite direction. It is not hyperbole to call this policy cataclysmic. This is Miami at 2 degrees, what many analysts now call a best-case scenario. This is Miami at 4 degrees. At 4 degrees, experts tell us that the costs globally could total over $600 trillion, more than double all of the wealth that exists in the world today. That is why we must invest in a Green New Deal, a comprehensive policy to stabilize warming at 1.5 degrees. And this is the vision being discussed in Congress right now, led by Representative Ocasio-Cortez and Senator Ed Markey. The Green New Deal is more than a climate policy. It is a pledge that no matter where you live, where you work, how much money you make, what color your skin is, what language you speak, you will have clean water to drink, clean air to breathe, and that the right to a stable climate system capable of sustaining future generations is the right of every American. We can do this. In the 1930s, the United States was locked in the Great Depression. Half of all of the banks had failed several times. 1 in 4 Americans was out of work. These are Dust Bowl refugees in Bakersfield, California in 1935, and the charred remains of a school bus in Paradise in 2018. Then, like now, it was do or die. Franklin Delano Roosevelt was elected on a platform to do the impossible, to rescue our country from a death spiral with a slate of policies called the New Deal. In his first 100 days in office, he reined in Wall Street and created jobs for millions of Americans, jobs like building the Golden Gate Bridge. The Green New Deal decade brought us benefits that we still have today: infrastructure, electricity, the minimum wage, Social Security, the right to collective bargaining. These were structural changes. So when we say we need a Green New Deal, we need structural change in the next 10 years, and we're told, well, that's impossible. But so was the old New Deal. FDR and the Congress he worked with, they didn't have a choice, and neither do we. A recent study from MIT tells us that renewable energies, which are growing faster than ever, but at the current rate, they won't catch up with fossil fuels for 400 years. We just don't have that kind of time. That is why we can't just leave it to the market to sort this out. That is why government has a critical and essential role to play in stabilizing our climate and protecting all Americans and all future generations from the threat of catastrophic climate change. There are at least 3 things that I believe any Green New Deal must accomplish at a minimum. Number 1, rapid reductions in greenhouse gas pollution. That's the obvious one. Number 2, a phase out of fossil fuel extraction and a just transition for the workers and communities who rely on fossil fuels today. And number 3, we need to clean up our atmosphere and cool the planet. So here's how we're going to do it. This is a passive building. It uses close to 0 carbon energy. This is a solar array on the Navajo Nation in Arizona. This is a wind farm in Texas. This is a wave energy buoy off the Oregon coast. This is a plug-in semi-truck in Los Angeles. This is an electric double-decker bus in London. This is a solar-powered vehicle charging station in Nevada. All of these technologies exist now. They exist today. And polls say that 87% of Americans want access to them now. How about a Green New Deal with a Cash for Clunkers program that gets internal combustion engines off the road by 2030? How about universal, zero emissions public transportation in every city in America? This is the world's first hydrogen-powered passenger train. It launched in Germany last year. When the Clean Air Act was passed, the catalytic converter did not yet exist. But Congress imposed deadlines against the fierce objections of the automakers. And the catalytic converter became standard issue on every car sold in the United States within 18 months. That is the power of technology forcing, and that is the policy that we must pursue to move this transition forward with the scale and at the speed that is required in this climate emergency. How about a nationwide rail network on hydrogen fuel that moves Americans where we need to go at 100 miles an hour silently and emits nothing but water? Don't be led to believe that that is impossible or it will take 100 years to do. The first transcontinental railroad was built in 6 years by hand in brutal and sometimes deadly conditions for the immigrants and the enslaved African Americans who built our nation's railroads on stolen native land. Let's get this right this time. A Green New Deal that invests in the families and the communities on the front lines of this climate crisis who have been historically excluded, overpolluted, disenfranchised, overpoliced, and undervalued. We can provide a good, family-sustaining union job to every American who wants to be part of rebuilding our nation beyond fossil fuels, because we have a lot of work to do. But the second thing that any Green New Deal must recognize is that in order to build that world beyond fossil fuels, we need to set a rapid and realistic time frame to stop pumping them out of the ground. And the workers in the extractive industries shouldn't pay the price for that. They need and deserve a just transition, and the polluters need to pay for it. Because our sky is now a Superfund site. Polluters pay into a Superfund to finance the cleanup of their toxic waste. And now, those 90 companies, those carbon majors, they need to pay to clean up the toxic waste site that is in our atmosphere. Because while they have made trillions of dollars on a dangerous product that is threatening the survival of life on Earth, they have yet to pay a dime for the climate that they have destabilized. And the Green New Deal must collect on that debt. So payouts from the carbon majors can finance a sky cleanup, but there is no giant carbon vacuum cleaner. That's where nature comes in. Plants and their root systems can pull the excess carbon out of the atmosphere, back underground, into our soil. That's why the third thing that any Green New Deal must do is reforest our landscapes, restore our wetlands, just as the old New Deal paid farmers to plant soil-building crops. We can support our farmers, our ranchers, our tribal rural communities to invest in regenerative agriculture and soil-building strategies and bringing compost to every community. And we can all be part of this, with our kitchen scraps becoming the black gold of the future, a layer of topsoil that can carpet our continent and cool our climate. At this late stage, all three of these strategies are required. Working alone, none of them will work. It won't be enough. We need all of it, and it's going to take all of us. Teachers and firefighters and doctors and bus drivers and welders and machinists and electricians and builders and technologists and all of the caregivers who do all of the caregiving work to make that labor possible, all working people across America coming together around this vision. When steam power was invented, the inventors made engines shaped like horses because this was their understanding of the world. Today, our vision is only limited by the fossil fuel world that we know. But the world beyond fossil fuels, it's right there. It's right in front of us. We're looking right at it, and we can build it. We can create it. We can do this together. In 1962, going to the moon seemed impossible. But President Kennedy stood before the nation and said, "We shall send to the moon a giant rocket made of new metal alloys, some of which have not yet been invented. And we will pay what needs to be paid, and it will be done before the end of the decade." And it was. And so it must be again. This is our moonshot. But it's not for the moon. It's for the Earth, and we only get one shot. The 2020s will be the decade that defines us, that defines the possibilities for all future generations. This is a photo of my grandmother and me with my then newborn cousin. My grandmother was a nurse cadet during World War II and a member of the greatest generation. I dream that in 2050, we will have stabilized our climate. And on my 70th birthday, my children, who will then be 35 and 37, will come to visit me, and maybe they'll bring young children with them. And I will tell them about the greatest decade that this country ever knew, back in the 2020s, when all of this began, when the world was on the edge of ecological breakdown, when we were afraid that it might be too late, when people told us that the structural changes that were required were impossible. But we came together with a vision, and we worked together with a plan, and we made their future possible. Thank you.
Thank you, Doyle Canning, for putting into words how important the Green New Deal and how it is possible and how it is necessary. And it is eloquent, it's important, and I look forward to voting for you on May 19th for representative of Oregon's 4th District. The next thing we have for you is an interview done by our member Sienna with a member of Doyle's with a member of Doyle's campaign promoting phone banking and other things that you can do to volunteer for Doyle Canning in the next few days leading up to the official primary. So here it is.
Okay, hi Connor, how are you today?
I'm great. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for logging on. Can you introduce yourself and let us know what you're working on, where you're calling in from?
Yeah, absolutely. My name's Connor. I'm a field organizer for Doyle Canning's congressional campaign. I'm usually actually working at the office. We've all been quarantining, don't worry. But today I am working from home. Yeah, we're working on a lot of projects at the moment. We're working on getting some advertisements out in light of COVID-19 to update everyone on how the campaign's doing. So that's been a lot of our focus. But yeah, we've been working on getting volunteers assigned to numerous different projects and whatnot. And yeah, it's going great.
Awesome. So I have a few questions about volunteering for the Canning for Congress campaign while we're all in social isolation. So if I want to volunteer right now, how do I do that?
It's super easy. So we have a website. It's called canningforcongress.com. And there's a link in which you can go to volunteer for us. So it's canningforcongress.com/volunteer. And there you'll be taken to a Google form in which we have you fill out your name, your email address, your phone number, and then how you want to volunteer. And there's numerous different ways in which we can volunteer. We have phone banking from home. We have joining our mass texting team on our program Through Text. You can put up a yard sign, which we just recently ordered, and you can get super soon. I think we're actually about to come today. You can write a letter to the editor to your local newspaper, wherever you live, if you live in the district. Or you can just post daily about the campaign on your social media platforms, because the campaign's always turning out new content. So if you want to share a lot of that content from our social media pages and put them on yours, and that's a great way to volunteer as well and spread the word about our campaign.
Awesome. So if I want to sign up for the phone banking and the text banking, do I do that through the Canning for Congress website?
Yeah. Everything you can do to sign up to volunteer for us will be on the Google form that we put on the volunteer page. So
awesome. And if it's my first time with the phone banking or with the text banking, are there any sort of training that the campaign has put together so that I can learn a little bit more how to do that and just kind of, go over some troubleshooting?
Absolutely. So for phone banking, we use this system called Phone Burner. It's an automatic dialer system, a lot like the Bernie dialer for people who have volunteered for the Bernie campaign. We have trainings on how to use that over Zoom 3 times a week. These trainings are Mondays at 3 p.m., Thursdays at 5 p.m., so tomorrow at 5 p.m. as well, and Saturdays at 1 p.m.
Awesome. And if I can't make it to one of those trainings, is it possible to set up another time?
Absolutely. We are super flexible when it comes to our volunteer schedule. Since everything's pretty remote and at home at the moment, we realize that people's schedules can be a little unpredictable. So if at any time you can't make it to one of those trainings, we always allow one-on-one sessions to get people set up for phone banking or text banking too, whatever people prefer. We're available all day from at least 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. every single day. And if you want to set up a one-on-one with us, you're more than welcome to reach out to me personally. My email address is connor@canningforcongress.com. Or you can reach out to me on my personal phone number, 541-216-1815.
Great. And then I've got one last question. So once I have done the training for the phone banking and texting, can I log on to do that anytime, or are there specific call periods that you guys have set up, or how does that work?
When it comes to specific phone banking events that we do put on sometimes, those will be in specific shifts, and those shifts are usually at noon, 3 p.m. or 5 p.m. However, we're also super flexible with people's schedules when it comes to phone banking as well, since all of it's done remotely. So if you can't make it to one of those shifts, or if you can't make it to a special phone banking event, you can do it at any time. All you have to do is just let me know, so we know which volunteer account on PhoneBurner is being used. We have 4 volunteer accounts on PhoneBurner that any volunteers are welcome to use at any time. We just ask that you let us know before we use those. But also, in the one-on-one sessions and during the trainings that we have a bunch of documents that show you how to get PhoneBurner set up on a step-by-step process, along with through text. So you'll definitely have the tools necessary to get things set up on your own if you need to.
Awesome. So it sounds like you guys are all set up and kind of up and running despite the sort of challenges that this pandemic is presenting.
Absolutely. I mean, I think if this pandemic has shown us anything, it's that it's more important than ever right now to get progressives elected to office, and to any kind of office, either local or federal. And we are not going to let this pandemic stop us. We are still moving. We are still progressing every single day, and we are still determined to win this campaign. So we still have that enthusiasm with us.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time, and I will, I'm pretty excited about making some more calls, and I will see you next time.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks, Connor. Bye.
Thank you, Sienna and Connor, for that information on how to volunteer for Doyle Canning's campaign. If there's one thing that we have really emphasized during this entire live stream, it's that a better future is possible, but it's only possible if everybody works towards it. So we all need to take action, and we all need to volunteer. If we want to put climate action activists into our city council, into the federal government, we have to take the time to do that. So I hope that everybody watching here does take some time to phone bank for Doyle Canning in the future. The last thing that we have on this live stream is a short video, just to inspire and to put some passion into, and then after that video is done, the live stream is over. So I just wanted to thank everybody who is watching this right now, and thank everybody who is supporting climate champions in our area and on the federal level as well. Thank you very much for everything that you are doing in order to make sure that our planet and our families, the future generations, get to live on. So this is our final video. Thank you very much for tuning in to Social Resistancing, Get the Vote Out, a live stream hosted by Sunrise Eugene.